back this week, and I brought a good friend of mine back in the house because he wasn't here the last couple weeks, but it's all good. He's back now, and I have no better person in the world that I want to talk Eagles situation, whatever, because we're looking at the Super Bowl now with the Seahawks and Patriots. But since we're outside looking in now, Vin, I want to first say welcome back to the show. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Glad to be back. I appreciate it. It would have been a lot better playing coming up next weekend, but it is what it is, and maybe next year they'll get back. And they got a lot of work to do to get there, but we'll see how it plays out in the offseason.
No, we certainly will see. And, for the most part, if we were to go back after the 2022 season and what happened in 2023, the whole debacle, everything started great and then, fell apart. But, they did the work the next year and then they won the Super Bowl. So, it's going to be interesting to see how he does and Jeffrey Lurie and, everybody else involved, even Nick Sirianni maybe. But, for the most part now, we are where we are and shit hit the fan pretty fast. It kind of looked like this was, like I was saying on the other episode, a lot of stuff looked like it was already, the writing was on the wall kind of. Like, they are what they were. They've been like that all year, and it's just like, we were waiting, maybe things would progress, maybe they would fix things, but no, things never got fixed, Vin. They never did, and, it is what it is. They shit the bed against the 49ers at home, against a broken 49ers team, but, for the most part, though, we had high hopes for the teams, but, the offense was a big question mark as the defense looked really ready to win a championship again, honestly. Even with pieces in and out, they, meshed pretty well. But, Vin, this is why I have you here. And I want to know, what was your wrap-up and conclusion of what happened with the Eagles at the end of this year?
Well, pretty much in a nutshell, to make it as simple, it wasn't all on Kevin Patullo. I know a lot of people want to just quickly blame him for everything because he's the new offensive coordinator. But the whole season, the offensive line was pretty much banged up, which impacts your running game because Saquon, obviously, he was healthy all season, but he never really seemed to have that spark that he had last year, in large part because Lane Johnson was hurt for the majority of the season. He was in and out. Jordan Mailata had a down year. Cam Jurgens had a really bad year.
Brutal, man. Yeah.
And Tyler Steen did not step up the way that they had hoped he would in place of Mekhi Becton.
I know.
And then when you couple all those things together, you would like to see your quarterback take a next step up. That didn't happen.
No.
And I think the biggest issue, in my opinion, is if you have an offensive-minded head coach, which Nick is,
right,
and you have an inexperienced play caller, an offensive coordinator, and we've seen what happened the last time they did that in 2023, you would hope that he would be able to correct those mistakes, at least not from then, but throughout the whole season, where you had 19 games to figure it out, or 19 weeks to figure it out, and you couldn't fix anything.
No.
And when he was asked why he couldn't fix anything at the end of the season press conference, he literally couldn't give an answer.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is just the sign of a head coach that might just be in over his head at this point of his career.
Yeah.
It just seems like the more the Eagles give him more of a responsibility in play calling, like they did in 23 in this past season, the offense looks way worse. In the years prior to each of those 2 years, when they gave it to Steichen and Kellen Moore, they went to and won a Super Bowl. And I just kind of feel like what they're going to do now at coordinator, that's going to be predicated a lot on Nick's involvement. Is it his offense? Is the offensive coordinator going to have say in the coaching staff that he brings in? Because Stoutland is still with Nick as the run game coordinator.
Right.
How's that going to mesh in with things? And is this coordinator going to want to just run another version of Nick's offense where it kind of was the same that it was under Kellen, especially in the passing game?
Right. No, we've seen things definitely switch up a lot. Like you said, from Kellen Moore coming in, and then we had the issue in 2023 when there was a lot of argument and, commotion about them not using motion a lot. And then we saw that change up a lot, and that really helped out the offense in 2024. So, things like that, little quirks, I think, Sirianni also kind of observing what other teams are doing and what works best for his team. But, the RPO stuff, that all has kind of gone back. And then, we also just look at this conclusion, too. Their bread and butter has been to run the ball. And, they had a down year with the line and everything. But also, too, sometimes when you're not running the ball enough, maybe you're not giving them an opportunity enough to really excel and push things forward for that team. Their bread and butter has always been running the ball. So, for them and Sirianni, who is the CEO of the team, and he has to make decisions here, for him to pick Patulu, who is the passing game coordinator, and who is more on the passing game of the side. I mean, in terms of more play calling of passing and stuff, he's gonna, that was his suit. That was where he was comfortable, and he tried to implement in the offense, and then we saw the offense struggle. But like for the most part, this team is built to run the ball. That's what it's been. And you got Saquon Barkley. You gave me an extension. And then, we saw him have a back year from everything, and it's just that's where they are. But I feel in a situation like that, it does come to the coach, but also comes to the players not executing too. So, like, is it the coach coaching? Because it's not just him too, because I don't know what he does half the time. But I'm just saying, like, you're trying to have your players, in a spot where they succeed and get the best out of them. But like if you're calling some of these plays that aren't doing that and you see it over and over again, it's just like it's almost like beating a fucking mule over and over. But that's just kind of how things broke down. So it's still a big question mark. We'll look at this down the line and see where this season was. Could it be another throwaway season like 2023? It could possibly. But, this is going to come down on Nick. And then also in this search of finding an offensive coordinator, this is a big question mark. Honestly, it's a exclamation and question marks, honestly, when you look at it, because like you got candidates going right off the list, and they've been interviewing people, but they also haven't offered anything to anybody either, not even Dayball, who is at the top of their list. So I'm trying to understand, like, where is this gravitating to? Like, I don't know. We're going to be looking at a situation again where we're going to end up with another first-time play caller, and I don't want that to happen either. I would rather have someone with the experience that can actually mesh and have a grip on the offense. If you throw in a new face with new philosophies and stuff, that could mesh things and distort the team even more moving forward. But what's your opinion on this whole thing of them trying to find an offense coordinator now?
Yeah, well, real quick about the players and the execution, because players play and coaches coach, right? But I do think, as you just said, it's the coach's job to put them in a position to do better. Andy Reid would say that after every loss, and eventually they would start playing better. If like when Andy would have like a couple 3-4 game slump, then they would have a 4 or 5 game win streak.
Right.
Change the play calling, he would change the philosophy of the offense.
Adjustments.
He's able to, and we saw the Eagles all season come out of the half every game this year, and they were flat-footed.
I know.
And that's coaching. That is 100% on your game plan.
For sure.
And that goes to them, like you said, needing to go get an experienced coordinator. Today they interviewed Sean Mannion for the second time. He played quarterback, but again, as to your point, you're going to get another inexperienced play caller coming in here who doesn't know the players.
I know.
And Jalen's going to have to learn. I mean, not that he's not going to be able to because he's a pro, but he'll learn a new system again. And then that'll be a whole new thing. And then if they start slow, that'll kind of be like the excuse for the entire, well, they're still learning a new offense.
I know.
It's going to come together eventually. But they need to find somebody on offense that's kind of like Vic Fangio on defense, who has no aspirations of being a head coach.
Right.
Whether you go get Frank Reich, whether you go get Doug Peterson. Doug said he would come back as an offensive coordinator for the Eagles. He said he'd love to do it. He drafted Jalen Hurts. He was on the Eagles when they drafted him.
Right.
And I just think that, Nick is pretty much running an extension of Frank Reich's offense, who, to an extent, was running Doug Peterson's offense. And there's some familiarity amongst that coaching tree that could help the Eagles and could be beneficial, because you don't want to be in a situation where if you hire a young coordinator and they do really well and then they leave, they get a head coaching job, and then you're back to where you are going forward that you were in 23 and 25, where you hire from within and it doesn't work out.
Right. We're definitely at that point where they're not going to go that route again anymore. They can't.
I hope not, because, and maybe they might have to, because now these experienced coordinators, they see the writing on the wall with what that job entails. And the job entails, you come in there, if you're successful, I could get a head coaching job, which is great. But if I'm unsuccessful, I'm the scapegoat and I'm fired. And that's kind of how it's been with all of his coordinators. It's either you get a head coaching job like Steichen did to the Colts and like Kellen Moore did to the Saints, or you're Brian Johnson and you're Kevin Patullo and you're fired. And everybody blames everything on you, when in reality the blame could and probably should be going to Sirianni a little bit more, because the more, and I said it earlier, the more he has his hands in play calling and game planning, the worse the offense looks. And then when they give the responsibilities, like when they gave the play calling responsibilities to Shane Steichen in 2021 after they lost to the Raiders, the offense started to look a lot better that year, and it looked really good in 22.
Yeah.
He had no say in the play calling in 2024. It was all Kellen Moore, and they looked great. So it's like, do you really? I'm not saying they're going to get rid of him, but like, could they go get another head coach that is capable of being able to lose a coordinator and still be able to run the offense? Because Nick's an offensive-minded coach, and you've had all these seasons, especially this past year, where you needed to make adjustments and get the offense back on track, and you didn't do it, and it cost your team an opportunity to possibly win another Super Bowl. So, no. I mean, just a really bad way for them to come out of a Super Bowl season when they have a championship window that's still open.
Right.
I also didn't like the way they handled the last game of the year. They should have played their guys a little bit more to give themselves a shot at the 2 seed.
Yeah.
It could have given them a better path to the Super Bowl. It could have guaranteed you 2 home playoff games. But, you know, that's all in the past. It's hindsight 2020. But I just feel a big reason why they can't get a coordinator right now is that job is either you get all the credit or you get all the blame. There's like no middle ground. And I just don't think for a city like Philadelphia with the fan base and with the media, for some people it may not be worth it. For somebody like Brian Daboll, who's kind of seen it from the outside, being on the Giants sideline, maybe he doesn't want to have that on his head, even though he did work with Jalen at Bama. So maybe there's an issue with the organization and how they run things. Maybe word around the league, it's not a great place to work because of maybe management, because of Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, other players, possibly AJ. There's a lot of question marks about why people aren't taking that job. And it's kind of crazy because they just won a Super Bowl 2 years ago, and I still think they're good enough to get back there if they get the right pieces in place. But
I know. I agree with you 1,000%. And honestly, too, like, it just raises more eyebrows. It's like, how is no one taking this job yet? Like, how does no one want to work with a Super Bowl MVP? How, like, you know what I mean? Like, you have a 2,000-yard rusher. You have all these weapons and stuff. Like, as an offensive, like Greg Olson, a commentator, like, was raving about this job. And he says, and, like, it makes a lot of sense. But it just, there has to be something underlying here that we're not seeing. And it's just showing. And I don't know. It's just maybe it's the drama show that comes with A.J. Brown. Or maybe Jalen Hurts is hard to coach too. Like there's been a lot of stories about Lamar Jackson being hard to coach, and that's why maybe they don't have a head coach either. So like there could be there's a lot of things that we're not seeing coming out, but it just like subliminally is showing.
Mm-hmm. And I also think too that maybe whether Jalen's coachable or not, I also do feel that his willingness to want to do certain things, like if a coach comes in, hey, a big part of my passing game is attacking the middle of the field. Well, the Eagles didn't do that at all last year.
No, not at all.
And whether it's because Nick doesn't design it, Jalen can't do it, he doesn't want to do it. I mean, there was a report he didn't want to run the tush-push as much, and he's going to be coming up on a contract soon. He's not going to want to run the ball more and get himself hurt prior to a contract. So I think if you're going to get a coach in here, he's going to have to coach Jalen a little harder, and Jalen's going to have to accept that. And maybe some coaches feel he's not going to be able to. Right. And it's going to be like a lost cause for them to come in here. And then, like you said, you have to deal with AJ. AJ and Nick have been going back and forth for what it seems like 2 years now. And I think the Eagles may have to make a decision between 2 of those 3 guys. Like, you know, 1 may go, 2 may stay. Maybe 2 of them go. I think they're going to have to come down to a decision of trading AJ or keeping Nick. I think Jalen's here to stay. I think Howie's in love with him. I think, you know, when he drafted him, he put his career on the line on that draft pick.
Yeah.
And it played out well for him.
Right. That's good point.
I feel if they traded AJ, his value now is not what it was 2 years ago.
Nope.
But I do still feel like they can still get a lot out of AJ and go get another head coach and still be competitive. And I don't think Sirianni would get picked up if the Eagles let him go. Like if there was all these vacancies that are currently in place, I don't think he'd be at the top of people's list. I really don't.
I agree too. And like, what does he really change around here? I mean, also like another example, like we never seen Dan Campbell, like the Lions this year. Like he took over the play calling duties when they were having struggles with their offense and stuff. But like to no avail. But at least he tried. You know what I mean? Like I can see a guy that like in a CEO like type of situation like him trying to control the team. At least he stepped in and tried to do what he could. But like I said, things. And now they're in their own situation. But I'm just going to like sidetrack on that and just going to where Sirianni's not taking control of the team the way he should, honestly.
Yeah, I think he definitely lost that step. Like as we were talking prior to we came on, at the end of the Bills game where he's walking in the tunnel and like he's yelling to the opposing fans as he's going in the tunnel. And then he's looking over at AJ and he's like talking smack. And AJ really had like no reaction
Yeah,
to
I
it.
know.
And he kind of gave him a look like, dude, like we barely, I think how many points in this score in that
It was
game?
13 to 12.
13, yeah. And then like that one shot of Kevin Patullo and Nick being like so ecstatic about scoring a touchdown for the first time in like 6 quarters or something it was. And, you know, the offense for the entire last month of the year was so bad. And,
Yeah, it was horrible, dude.
Like we said, no adjustments. They didn't change anything. There was no sense of urgency. They didn't have an identity all season. And I think a big reason too why a coordinator may not want to come here, as not only just those things I just mentioned, but is Lane Johnson going to be here next year? Is AJ going to be here next year? Is Jalen, is he starting to regress? Is Saquon still going to be as effective as he is? Is your former or your current run game coordinator, Jeff Stoutland, still here? Because I may want my own run game coordinator in here. And Nick may not want to switch up on that.
Right.
Or that one just goes back to being the O-line coach. But there's a lot of questions as to why. But I feel, the season ended 3 weeks ago. They still don't have anybody. They've only interviewed a handful of people. And the people they've interviewed, it's like you've never called plays before. Or you have, and you chose not to come here.
Right.
So
it's everything will come to light. And, according to sources out there, maybe we'll even have a decision within this week or next week. So we'll see how things break down. But things are getting interesting in the nest, Vinny.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, man.
For sure. But I appreciate you coming on and talking your knowledge.
Anytime, man. I'll see you.
All right, man. Thank you again. I appreciate you coming on.
You're welcome, bro. Take it easy.
So we're back, and it's been a little bit. I know we're just been introducing football back to the show, but we gotta show some love to the team that we love, the Philadelphia Sixers, and I got the one and only Joe Valo in the house. How you doing, Joe?
Here we go, Sixers. Here we go.
Yeah, there we go. And it's been an interesting year so far for us. Right now I think we're still in the 6th seed, but the East is wide open, so things can definitely still change, like in the future and everything. But seeing that we're coming around here and coming to full health almost, like I really like the direction of where we are going with this team. How do you feel about it, Joe?
I love watching this team. This is my favorite roster that we've had to watch in a long time, and I think that we can do something this year, hopefully.
No, for sure, I definitely do. And even like you sporting that jersey and stuff, like. It's just like it's bringing a really good feel to the Sixers this year, and I'm really excited to watch them. I got to see them earlier this year. They just it gets me excited too, because like if they get at 100%, like later on, if they can stay healthy, going into the playoffs and stuff, like they definitely can make some damage. But speaking of playoffs and things that happen in the NBA season, we got the NBA All-Stars. And we know our guy Tyrese Maxey's been lighting it up, honestly, representing and everything. But Maxey's been doing big things this year, and it's kind of crazy to think that maybe he's reaching new levels and stuff. There's still been some growing pains with learning things out, working with Edgecombe and stuff in the backcourt. But what do you think about Maxey right now? Like, if you're gonna count down an All-Star team, you got 5-on-5. So do you think Maxey's like a top 10 player right now?
Honestly, I don't think he's at the top 10 player right now, even though he's an all-star starter. I'd put him more in the 15 to 20 range.
Okay.
So I don't think he's top 10 now.
No, not top 10. Just getting a lot of love from Philly fans and stuff like that.
Yeah, when you look at the top 10 guys, they're franchise changers.
Yeah.
And I think Maxey needs to take one more step to get to that level.
No, for sure. I agree with that. I mean, like for the most part too. I mean, like he maybe is starting. Like I almost feel like he's halfway there. You can say like because like he definitely has changed the franchise. If anything, like I right now, I would say he's mostly been the motor that's been getting the Sixers going this year for sure. Like like Joel's been in and out in the beginning part of the year. Now he's starting to get the form, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But just like seeing where Maxey is right now, like it's like he's really blossoming. He's like it's like a pretty flower out there, man. He's just like, like we've seen him grow, and now what he's blossoming into is like more than we could even imagine or even expected. It's just like his potential and everything. His ceiling is just still really high, and we still don't really know. It's been question marks all along, really, just like the potential factor of Tyrese Maxey. But like we see these flashes, and then we see times on the court where there's no one that can really touch him in terms of his speed and getting to the rim and even shooting his threes now. He definitely learned a lot back with working with Harden and stuff. You see that in his game, but seeing where Tyrese is now is just like it makes me smile, it makes me really happy, it makes me rock this jersey very proudly. But I'm happy with Max, man, and maybe like hitting new levels and stuff. Like we're talking about like top 5, 10, top 10 player, top 5 player, but like it's really interesting to see what's going to happen with Max, but I'm really happy with him. And, I actually got to give Daryl Morey. I have to give Daryl Morey credit for drafting Tyrese Maxey and putting him on this roster and, becoming the cornerstone of the Sixers organization.
It's crazy. We missed all those top lottery picks, but then we hit on Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, but really what I want to see for him to take the next level, I want to see him get other players, make other players better. It seems like right now he's just tunnel vision to score. I know he gets 9 assists and he averages like 7.5 and shit like that. But, when you're a ball hog, you can also get a lot of assists because you're passing it at the last second to somebody that's open. But I do want to see those assist numbers go up with him. And I want to see him shoot efficiently. If he can stay around 50% and average 8 to 10 assists with low turnovers, as long as he's averaging more than 20, I don't care what he's averaging. As long as, he can run the offense.
No, for sure. I mean, like, it's still interesting to see, and it's also, like, Nick Nurse as a coach kind of giving free range for him to do what he wants on the ball. I mean, we've seen him in, like, fourth quarter situations trying to take that last shot, and some of these have been questionable, but, like, it's learning and growing pains, him being a young player, and, the wide range of the NBA, too. So, that, definitely things to take into factor here. But, like, overall, like, I agree with you. Like, he definitely, facilitating, we could always want a better facilitator, but, sometimes he gets that tunnel vision, and, we have seen that where he just like gets almost like in a supersonic view of just like him going to the rim and like everything else kind of blocks out. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Maxey. But, he's developing into a great player. And I'm really, if he can only hit new marks and stuff, it's just like, it's really scary to think about, honestly, for other teams and stuff. But one player I did want to bring up is someone that's been playing good. Very controversial player. A lot of injury history. Also tactics in terms of getting to the rim. I'm talking about Joel Embiid. All right. So we have seen JoJo kind of come back to form here. Last 5 games, averaging 32 points a game. Pretty good numbers, and we've almost seen him like he's come out in an interview saying that, he's starting to find his love for basketball again. But, I almost feel like I've heard that a lot, like almost the last 2 years. But, even if it is an obstacle for him to come up over and, like, for him making it personal and stuff, if he can really come back to form and maybe Joe, out of all these years, maybe there is that 1 year that he can stay healthy and they go on a run. Maybe that is this. Like, that's always been like the rabbit in the hat that could pull out. I mean, I hate to say it for a career like the way he's had, but like and maybe this could be the year. Maybe it is. Like he feels good. He's moving good. Took some time, obviously, but like where they are now. I mean, I think anyone would be okay and appreciate the time that he took off to get back to form where he is now. I mean, that's really big. But is Joel Embiid back, Joe?
I mean, he looks good out there. He takes games off. I want to see, after this All-Star break, I want to see him try to get some time out there because I want to see them build chemistry.
Right.
Paul George just went crazy yesterday.
Yeah.
Very consistent. He almost got 35 games in a row. They tried to get it for him, but that streak got snapped yesterday, and he had 28.
Right.
So he's playing good. I mean, the only thing we can hope for is that he's healthy in the playoffs, and it seems like that's a lot to ask for.
Right.
But, I mean, we're basically stuck with him. No other team is going to, gamble their future assets on gambling that Joel Embiid stays healthy. So we can't trade him. We can't get rid of him. No. The only thing that we can hope is, maybe this is the year he stays healthy. And I'd say maybe it is. He's got to stay healthy 1 year, you would think, right?
Yeah, I know. Like, I mean, for all the work that he puts in, too. I mean, it's not like he doesn't want that year to happen. It's just like setbacks happen, injuries happen, the unknown, the unfortunate stuff that happens. But, like, he's dealt with that all. And for him to, like, see it finally come to fruition and overcome it mentally and even physically, watching it, like, action-wise and everything, that would be really big. And that would be a really great story. I mean, like, has this asterisk over his head, in terms of the injury bug. And it's just like a matter of not when we're expecting him to not be on the court anymore. But, like, we saw it. We were a little worried in the beginning of the year, but it seems like things are working. And, for him to get back to form and feeling comfortable on the court again, it's really fun to watch. And I'm really happy for him. I mean, I hope things can continue. And maybe he can even play with Maxey on the All-Star game and stuff, even though that doesn't really matter anymore. But, we don't
want him to play any games he doesn't have to.
Right, exactly. Well, that's true, too. I mean, like, even, like, the other night, they give him the night off and stuff for him to rest and stuff. So, it'll help. I mean, I think by now, in this process of him, like, they know when to sit him out and what's really best for him. I mean, training staff and everybody involved and organization work. So, I'm really happy. But, him being healthy is a big part of them, in the playoffs and trying to win a championship, or at least try to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, that would just be, like, I hate to say that's like almost like a dream as a Sixers fan, but that's where we've been. It's been a struggle since we've been rocking those jerseys back in the day. That's really the last time we've been there. So, I mean, do you think they can make a run, Joe, in the playoffs if they can really stay healthy?
When you look at the East, yes, I think that they can make a run. We just have to hope that Embiid stays healthy. I think Therese has to start trusting his teammates a little bit more. I know I said that earlier.
Right.
But we have seen DJ hit some big shots down the stretch.
Yes.
We have seen glimpses of Paul George. We do have good role players. When Embiid's being lazy, we can throw in Bona to replace the hustle.
Right.
We have Oubre. We have Quentin Grimes. Jared McCain hit 5 threes yesterday.
Yeah, he looked good. Yes, he did look good.
Our second unit is good. I didn't even mention Barlow. He's been a good piece for us.
Yeah, he has been.
We got Drummond. We have, I would say, the best team on paper on the East. And it seems the East is just who gets hot at the right time. I mean, the Pacers got to the finals last year.
That's a good point.
And it seemed like they're falling off.
The worst team.
Celtics have no JT. They say he's working his way back, but I don't know if he'll be JT this year.
Nah, that's asking for too much.
And there's nobody that really scares me in the East. If I'm honest, I think the Sixers are tough out.
I know, no, you're absolutely right. I agree with you. I think everything is wide open in the East right now. And if, like, why not them this year? Like, that's what Daryl Morey's been brewing this whole time. So, like, maybe this is the time where Daryl Morey has a plan that actually works out in a circumstance where, everything else is in your favor to do that. So, like, why not go for it? So, but that's also, Nick Nurse doing his job. That's including everybody doing their job. They all have to execute. So, we've seen other Philly teams not execute. And I just want to I just like this team. I like watching this team. I love it when they're in their jerseys and stuff. Like, it was a good idea to do that this year. And, I'm just excited for this team. But like we said, it's on them, and they have to do their job, they have to do their role, and everything will work out in terms of that if they can do all that. And I think they can make a push. Eastern Conference Finals could definitely be in the realm of possibilities here, and I'm really excited to see them moving forward.
I think I think the Eastern Conference Finals we should at least get there.
Yeah.
Like, especially this year. I don't see a team that I'm scared of, to be honest.
No, I don't
and
either.
I think a lot of teams do fear if Philly's healthy in the playoffs, that's going to be a tough team to put away.
We'll be a tough out, no, for sure. Even like we matched up against the Knicks. I know we lost our last game against them, but I think we're 3-1 against the Knicks this year. In terms of matchups, we present a lot of problems, and Paul George, like you said, hitting shots come into form. If that can actually post up in one game out of 7, it's gonna be tough to beat the Sixers in 4 games, honestly, if they can stay healthy.
I think VJ might be able to show out this year to the country. This is kind of a throwback, but if you remember how Tayshaun Prince came in his rookie year and helped the Pistons, and nobody really knew who he was.
Yeah.
People know who VJ is. But I think that, he can come in and attribute a lot to winning in the playoffs.
No, I definitely think he's definitely a player to watch out for, too. Like I'm saying, a Paul George game or a VJ Edgecombe game. These are all things that can happen in a series for the Sixers because they have
more
depth.
Players that could all win a game. That's winning a series if one of them does their job.
And that's another thing about Edgecombe too. We've seen him this year. We've seen him step up in at least 2 or 3 games where he's won the game for the Sixers, honestly, or at least they tied the game for them to go to the overtime and stuff. But for a rookie to step up and have that type of calm and demeanor and hit that shot when we really fucking need it, it's something we haven't had. And I think Joel definitely sees that. I think other players see that too. But Tyrese Maxey's got to see that a little bit more too, so he can trust his teammate in the backcourt and stuff. But everything's flowing, and I'm really excited for this team. They're young, and they definitely have they have the it factor. They just got to bring it out, and I want to see Nick Nurse bring it out because he is our head coach and he's calling the shots here when things are on the sideline. So you got to do your job, man, and that's a big part. You have the talent, you have the roster. There's no excuses. They just really have to go out there and do it. So.
The Raptors to the finals.
Raptors.
We got them to the finals.
Oh, yes. But in a situation like that, they capitalized on a year where they had Kawhi and they rode it to the top. So if everything else works around you, why not capitalize what you got going on and then just move forward with it? That's the most important thing.
Let me throw something in there real quick as a Sixer fan. Hopefully this comes to fruition. But they had Kawhi Leonard leading that team.
Right.
Kawhi Leonard's not the healthiest guy. And he got hot in the playoffs, made a run, had some luck with Golden State getting injured.
Right.
And they won a championship.
Right.
If the Sixers could at least get to the finals and Embiid perform in the playoffs, because that's something he hasn't been able to do.
Right.
Even even the years he has been healthy, he's underperformed in the playoffs. His stats drop 7 points per game in the playoffs. We can't have that.
No, we can't. We've seen him come up short. We saw him come up short in the Knicks series, and then there's questions if he was injured 100%. But at least against the Knicks this year, he's shown he's ready, and it definitely at least in the games that he's played against the Knicks this year, if the matchup was to show up again, I see him more ready and competitive and knows where to be around the rim, angle himself right against Mitchell Robinson because they know that's the matchup they're gonna have. It was really, the last game they barely they put in Towns when they could, but it was mostly when Joel was off the court. So we'll see how things develop. But Joel's a big piece. Tyrese Maxey's a big piece, and then the rest of the roster is that other big piece, and that rest of the roster has to be a bigger piece than these two guys too. So that's going to be a bigger thing to say. But
I think that if James Harden, Joel Embiid doesn't get it done this year, if we get out of the first round this year and he doesn't play like Joel Embiid, that's when he'll start earning that James Harden, Lamar Jackson reputation. He needs to get it done, at least play good in the playoffs.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, honestly, too. I mean, we think about the meme of him crying and stuff. Like, so I mean, that's already kind of over his head. So, like, if he can get the monkey off his back and actually, you know, get to that level and stuff, you know, it would be a good story. And I really hope that we can enjoy this story and reap the rewards of it. But on a big note, Joe, we got to wrap things up. But I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yes, sir. Let's go Sixers, man. Hopefully this is the year we're going to stay healthy this year.
Yes, fingers crossed, everything, knock on wood, and everything. But thank you again for coming on. I appreciate it.
Sure.